Mini production, boy. Ooh.
Welcome to the Hoop Circle podcast. I'm your host, Coach Ty. I'd like to also welcome those watching us on Facebook Live, uh, those again who will be watching on YouTube, those listening on Anchor, iTunes, and we are now on Google Play Music podcast, and by whatever means that you're joining us this morning. I want to open up this show to talk about somebody that's very special. It has been very special in my life. Um, Over a year ago, one of the coaches at my former program, Peak Performance, challenged us to, to say thank you to someone who's touched thousands of lives over the past, 10 plus years, has gotten almost 100 girls scholarships. Even has, again, as I talked about last week, he went to his first wedding and, and has several, of his former players in all different walks of life, from some in medical school. I believe one is pursuing law school, another one's pursuing a broadcasting career. So at this time, I would like to give my thanks to Coach Bruce Price from Peak Performance, and I say thank you because everything that you see here, from me, talking about girls basketball, being down here in Tampa now, a part of another successful program, all that is attributed to Coach Price. And I say this because when I first moved to Atlanta back in 2014, when I first moved back to Atlanta in 2014, I was training in a couple of kids there, and a director at a little private school had introduced us, and we had a good conversation. We hit it off very well, and and in listening to his vision, I said, well, why should I, play against him? Why should, when I can just join his program and we can build something strong? And, he's been like a father figure to me. I talk to him when I need advice, whenever, something's just going on in my life. Even when I had a life changing situation back in July, he helped me through a lot of things. And I just want to take this time and use this platform to say thank you, Coach Bruce Price, for everything that you've done for me. And as I just stated, all of this here, this podcast, everything that I'm doing in girls basketball today is all possible because you gave a young man from Brooklyn, from New York, a chance to be a part of your program. And I mean, I'm getting a little choked up here, but words just again can't explain how thankful I am. And through your program, I've met, tons of coaches. I got a ton of coaching friends, Chris, Chemo, Capri, Derek, Keith, Mariah, Stephanie, Sydney, Coach Johnson, Letitia. I mean, the names of the coaches can go on and on. And if I missed you, I apologize. My brain is just going 1,000 miles a minute. But at the same time, I wouldn't have these coaching relationships. All the kids that I've coached and still keep in contact with to this day, who's asking Coach Ty for advice, or they're laughing, when I crack jokes about my knees, and do they hear my knees cracking on the bench, things like that. And I just again want to say thank you because you just gave me something that that's now precious to me, and I want to make a change, and I want to continue to make change in girls basketball, and I want to definitely be the man that you are, and all that you've given to this game. And like I said, I'm lost for words because I'm speaking from my heart, but Coach Bruce, I definitely just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because again, all of this here that you see would not be possible had you not given me that chance. And I mean, God just has a funny way of bringing people together, and I'm forever thankful. My father has since passed on, and you've been somebody that, again, I can just talk to, that has looked out for me in different ways and tried to help me in different ways, and you've molded me into a better, not only a better coach, but a better man, and I'm forever grateful for that. I thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For more ways to stay informed about the Hoop Circle podcast, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Anchor at Hoop Circle, Instagram at Hoop Circle Sports. And again, we're still working on that YouTube channel. It's definitely coming soon. So I want to talk now about, do coaches have favorites? And the answer is yes. I'm a coach, and as coaches, we do have favorites. That is very much true. We do have favorites. But our favorites are the kids that come to practice every day. They hustle. They're, team first and not me first. They play their role. They understand their role. Um, and they ask questions. They want to be students of the game. Those are my favorite kids, and I've been blessed that I've had a ton of favorite kids, because I've coached several kids who ask those type of questions, who want film, who want to learn, who have a thirst to be better in this game. Now, do coaches have favorites? And yes, they do. And that means that that's that kid that they have that special bond and relationship with, or it's the star player. And in the business world, they say that we tend to spend, and there's an 80-20 rule, and it can be interpreted many different ways. Some people say that you spend 80% of your time with your lowest performers and 20% of your time with your highest performers. But at the same time, do you spend, you know, 80% of your time with your highest performers and then 20% of your time with your lowest performers? And in coaching basketball or any sport at that point, I think it's more so that coaches tend to spend 80% of their time with their highest performers and 20% of their time with their lowest performers. And it has to be 100% of your time with all of your performers. So do coaches have favorites? Yes. And as coaches, and if you're a coach that you're listening to this, I need you. Actually, not I need you. I want you to challenge yourself to say, do I really have favorites? Do I really favor my this kid over this kid because I don't have because I have that relationship? And I encourage you to build relationships with all your kids. One of the tools that I've used in the training that I've had, and I think I've mentioned this before, I took a Dale Carnegie course. I read a couple of his books. Again, Warren Buffett even talks about the Dale Carnegie course, and it teaches you to see things from that other kid's point of view. Now, of course, you are going to have players on your team that basketball is not their number one priority. Could be school, could be another sport. They're just playing to play, or they're playing because their friends are playing. But that does not mean that you give that kid any less attention than you give your star player. And one of the things that I give Greg Popovich a lot of credit for, and Greg Popovich is the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. The one thing that I give Coach Pop credit for is that he, excuse me, he treats every player from top to bottom. And for those of you, when Tim Duncan was there, he treated Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili the same way he treated the last three guys on his team, the guys that we may not have known about, or they get very little playing time. And he does play a lot of his players. But at the same time, he treated everybody the same, whether he was a star player or not. And he's somebody that I look up to as a coach, because you cannot have preferential treatment and expect your team to be successful. It's just that's not a formula, or for success. But if you're a coach that you talk to all your players the same, and I encourage you assistant coaches to build relationship with these players. I go to games and I see assistants just sitting there, and they're just watching, the game. And it's because some of us assistants, I've been an assistant before. We've been head coaches, or we are the head coach of another part of the program, and we go into head coach mode instead of turning around to the bench and engaging the kids and talking to the kids and making sure that they're paying attention. And this is not the babysit, but that's what a good assistant does. A good assistant stays engaged with the bench, make sure everybody's paying attention, make sure everybody knows their assignments. So again, do coaches have favorites? Yes. But again, my preference is the kids that will give you 110%, that would bleed for you, that would die for loose balls, do the dirty work, do the Rodman work. And everybody, that knows Dennis Rodman, and the kids, if you don't know who Dennis Rodman is, I know some of you've seen, some of his troubles in the news, but that's not Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was the greatest. To me, he was one of the greatest 50-50 players of all time. And when I say 50-50 players, he rebounded, he died for loose balls. He was a scorer in college and changed his game. And now you see Tristan Thompson and some other guys that are making money off of rebounding, but that was Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was the ultimate 50-50 player. And if you are not the star player on your team, that's okay, but you can star in your role. You can be the greatest 50, you can be the best 50-50 player on your team. If you have any type of small business you want to advertise with us, send us an email with your contact information to hoopcircle@outlook.com and someone will contact you. Again, if you have any type of small business you want to advertise with us, please send us an email with your contact information to hoopcircle@outlook.com and someone will contact you. So this week, I got to see a lot of good games. I got to see a lot of good matchups. Some rivalries this week, and I think and I called for change before here in Tampa, in the Tampa, Hillsborough County, and in the surrounding counties areas, in which that we had to give the coaches the ability to schedule their own games and create better matchups for their teams. And let's talk about let's imagine a public versus private school matchup and how that would look. And what I mean is, wouldn't it be great to see a home and home with Brooks DeBartolo and Plant, or Alonzo and Tampa Catholic, or Sefner Christian and Bloomingdale, for example. Um, I mean, the list of schools that are out there, escape me, but I don't wanna see those kinda games in tournaments. I mean, I saw Carrollwood Day and Plant battle to in a very good tournament, but it's become such a rivalry now, and I know parents from both teams, and it's become such a rivalry now that why do I have to wait for a championship game in a tournament to see these 2 teams play? It would be great for Tampa area basketball if these 2 teams played regular a home and home, a non-conference game, or and it doesn't have to even be a home and home in the same 2 games a year. It could just be 1 game, but one team is home, next, one team is on the road, next year, like, flip it, like, that would be great. I would love to see Brooks DeBartolo and even and Plant. I would love to see that game. I think that would be an exciting game. You know, I would love to see Carrollwood Day, play Alonzo. I would love to see that. And I think that, I encourage, all you coaches that are listening here in the Tampa area that follow me, you know, let's advocate for change. Let's make this happen. What I don't want to see is, and this is just what I've been hearing, because I haven't been out here, but only, 3 or 4 months now. The teams out here that commonly dominate their districts, they win their district, they go out to the state championships. Now, in this area, the district may be not as strong as it is, let's say in Flagler County or Volusia County. That district, same level of play, 5A, 7A, whatever A. In Hillsborough, it could be a not so strong district, but in that area, it could be strong, where the teams are constantly beating up with each other. So what happens is when a team from our area here in Tampa goes and plays that team from Flagler or Volusia in a tournament, they get blown out because they haven't played anybody tough. And I know that the Hillsborough County, school board and athletic commission tries to make the games fair. I get it. But you have to allow these coaches the flexibility to schedule their games. You have a lot of exciting games out there. Let me tell you, let me give you a perfect example. I went to a game, I went to the Riverview Sarasota Booker game this week. It's a rivalry game. They're not in the same district, but they're close enough that they're rivals. They played twice this year. That's how strong the rivalry is. That's the first game that I ever went to where I saw the road team split the gate with the home team. And what I mean by is when I walked into the gym, they asked, "Are you here for Booker or are you here for Riverview?" I said, "Well, I'm just here to see the game." And then, and I didn't know why they were asking me that at first. So I paid my way into the game, but I saw another table behind the home team's table, and that was for the visiting team, and they split the gate. That was the most crowded that I've ever seen a game down in this area. From the JV boys game that I walked in on all the way through the boys game, that gym was packed with students, parents, people in the community. That game was packed. Everybody talks about, struggling for fundraising and revenue and things like that. That right there was a perfect model and example of why these games need to happen, why these rivalry games need to happen, why you need to give these coaches the flexibility to schedule these games. Now, in talking to a coach out here about this subject, you know, the, she said that the initial fear was that the public schools were worried about the private schools, recruiting their kids and trying to bring them over to the private schools. Well, that's going to happen regardless. Either way, that's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about that. That's going to happen whether you play them or not. It's going to happen if they built a relationship or the kid is unhappy, and they can and somebody and all it takes is for one person to find out that your kid is unhappy and they're gonna try to recruit your kid. And that's not the right or wrong thing. That's just the way that it is. Nothing that you can control about that. So if that's the fear of the school board, the recruiting, it happens anyway. We saw, again, what happened down with Fort Myers with the recruiting. It's gonna happen. There's not much that you can do about that. So I say that to say, let's get these games out here. Let's get these matchups out here. I don't want to wait for a holiday tournament. I don't want to wait till Thanksgiving or Christmas or MLK. I don't want to wait for those types of tournaments to see these teams play. Let's give these coaches the flexibility to schedule these games. I like I said, I've gotten to meet a lot of good coaches out here, and to all you coaches that again that's helped the Hoop Circle podcast, that supported the Hoop Circle podcast. I thank you. This platform is not about me; it's about helping you and your young ladies, get seen and get noticed and bring some more visibility to the basketball in this area. And that's not saying that the other people out here aren't doing a good job. I just want to add to it. I just want to be, a continued part of the solution because there is no problem. I just want to be a continued part, an addition to the solution. So again, coaches, ADs, let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. So last week, our how much do you really know sports question of the week was which is the only school to win the men's and women's national championship in the same year? And I want to say congratulations to Sydney out of Georgia, who was our winner this week and had the correct answer, which was UConn. And UConn, again, the year escapes me and I didn't write it down, but they were the team. It was within the last couple of years. I think the last time, in fact, it was a couple of years ago when the UConn men's team won, led by Napier, and the girls team won in the same year. So again, sorry. Congratulations, Sydney, on winning. We're gonna send you a movie for two gift card. So I hope you enjoy that and go see a good movie. I know Black Panther's coming out soon. I know I'm going to see it, so I'm looking forward to that movie. So we'll reach back out to you at the conclusion of the show and get your information, and we'll get that card out to you and enjoy it. So our poll question of the week this week, sorry, not a poll question, our how much sports do you really know question of the week this week is with 6 victories, C. Vivian Stringer will become the sixth women's college basketball coach with 1,000 career wins. Who are the other 5 coaches currently ahead of her? Again, with 6 victories, C. Vivian Stringer will become the sixth women's college basketball coach with 1,000 career wins. Who are the other 5 coaches ahead of her? Please DM, direct message your replies to at Hoop Circle on Twitter or send via email to hoopcircle@outlook.com, and the winner will be announced on next week's show. So now I want to talk to you about NBA trade rumors and where will LeBron land. So some NBA trade rumors that I've seen, they're talking about DeAndre Jordan possibly getting traded from the Clippers. One of the destination spots is Cleveland. Um, Cleveland right now has the Brooklyn Nets, and my Nets. I root for them because I'm a Brooklyn kid, but at the same time, I mean, they could have had Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and these last couple of drafts, and oh man, I can only imagine because they gave it up for Pierce and Garnett, who were on their way out and didn't even really do nothing because that coach, I mean, sorry, not the coach, the owner got the stadium that he wanted and he got it built in the era that he wanted. Kemba Walker just became, is the talk. I think a lot of good teams can use a quality point guard out there, and Kemba Walker, is a scoring point guard and he can do a lot. And I'm surprised that the Hornets are giving up on him so early because I don't see a replacement behind him. But sometimes, in order to win, you got to make sacrifices for your team, and making sacrifices, you sometimes got to trade your best player. And LeBron, I think one of the reasons why Kyrie Irving wanted to get traded was because every year he didn't know where LeBron was going to end up. Where was LeBron going? Where was he, where was he gonna sign? And everybody, all the indications now is that he's gonna sign with, an LA team. But if you trade DeAndre Jordan, is he really gonna go to LA? Does he wanna be part of, the Lakers circus, with everything going with the Ball family? And I can again, I can't I would love to see and hear what LeVar Ball would have to say if LeBron James got traded to the Lakers. Not and his son was still on the team because LeBron would be the point guard. So where would that put Lonzo? But that's another topic for another another topic for another conversation at another time. But I think it's does it hurt to me? Does it hurt LeBron's legacy? I mean, he did what he said he wanted to do for Cleveland. He brought them a championship. He left, for what I call the college experience and going to Miami, planning to play with Bosch and to play with D Wade. I call that the college experience because they were just out there like college kids having a great time and having a lot of fun. So I definitely, think that he's going to leave. I don't know where he's going to end up. I think Houston is going to be I think Houston is the destination because you can trade Ariza. Him and Ariza aren't the same player, but they're around the same age. And Houston, has some other parts that they can part with, to get, a big three with Paul Harden and and oh god, Paul Harden and LeBron would be, a nice trio. Excuse me. And or OKC, if Paul George decides to go to the Lakers, I think LeBron, Melo, and Westbrook could be something special too. I mean, who knows? But the trade deadline in the NBA is coming up soon. I believe it's February 6th, if not a little later than that. So, you know, stay tuned and let's see what happens. Let's see what trades. We know Cleveland needs to make a trade, so let's see what happens soon. Today's show is sponsored by Jachi Photography and Videography. If you have a special day, event, or coaches, you need a game filmed or senior night pictures done, Allow Chi photography and videography to capture and savor the moment. For more information, you can go to Chi LLC. That's JACHI LLC dot photography. Or on Instagram, you can follow at Chi Photographer. So let's talk about some key Tampa metro area matchups coming up for the week of January 21st. So Monday, January 22nd, we have Middleton versus Newsom, Southeast versus Braden River. And our game of the night, Tampa Catholic versus Sefner Christian. Ashley Cypress lead the Lady Crusaders of Tampa Christian with 14 points per game and 7.4 rebounds per game. Riley Bartram leads the Lady Crusaders of Sefner Christian with 20.1 points per game and 4.8 rebounds per game. Excuse me. Tuesday, January 23rd, we have Masters Academy versus Santa Fe Catholic, Lake Wales versus Booker, Manatee versus Sarasota, Riverview Sarasota versus Bradenton Christian, Sun Lake versus Mitchell, and our game of the night, and Clote versus Gulf. Lindsay McWhorter leads the Lady Sharks with 22.2 points per game and 4.6 rebounds per game. Brittany Laserte leads the Lady Bucks with 11.2 points per game, and Brianna Williams with 6.4 rebounds per game. On Wednesday, January 24th, we have Clearwater versus Tarpon Springs, Newsom versus Plant, Lehigh versus Northport. In our game of the night, Tampa Bay Tech versus Plant City. Kenesha Godfrey leads the Lady Titans with 12.8 points per game, and Janae Thomas with 6.9 rebounds per game. Player of the Year candidate Mackenzie Steele leads the Lady Raiders with 29 points per game, and Jordan Vance with 13.6 rebounds per game. For Thursday, January 25th, we have Brooks DeBartolo versus Bradenton Christian, Crystal River versus Carrollwood Day, Braden River versus Lakewood Ranch, Calvary Christian Clearwater versus Wiregrass Ranch, Osceola versus Auburndale, and Clute versus Sun Lake. And our cross county matchup is Florida Prep versus Tampa Catholic, as Florida Prep travels all the way from Melbourne, Florida to the Tampa area for this highly anticipated matchup. And those are the games that I'm talking about that I like to see that um that I like to see that where the coaches had the flexibility to schedule such a game where this team is traveling almost 2.5 hours from Melbourne to come see this game. And I think this is going to be, a great matchup. Looking forward to it. Friday, January 26th, we have Bishop McLaughlin Catholic versus Santa Fe Catholic, Bloomingdale versus Leonard, Carrollwood Day versus Academy of the Holy Names, Sarasota versus Riverview Sarasota, Tarpon Springs versus Lakewood, and our game of the night, Steinbrenner versus Plant. Ashley Ingram leads the Lady Warriors with 11.8 points per game, and Jasmine Rodriguez with 5.9 rebounds per game. Honor Culpepper leads the Lady Panthers with 16.1 points per game, and Kendall Cheeseman with 10.4 rebounds per game. Saturday, January 27th, we have Florida Prep traveling again to this end of town to take on IMG Academy, and Lakewood versus Mount Verde Academy. For the latest in high school girls basketball, sports scores and updates, be sure to follow on Twitter at Brazz Sports. That's BRAZZ Sports. At Pasco Girls BB. That's PASCO Girls BB. At TB Home Team. Again, TB Home Team. At Pinellas H. That's PINELLASH. And at Tampa Ball. TAMPABALL. So now we're going to turn to our last segment, and we're going to read some questions and comments, from our DMs and from our email box. Okay, let's see. We have a question from Sean up in New Jersey. Thank you, Sean, for listening from all the way up in New Jersey. Who do I like in this week's NFL playoffs? Again, I know it's a hoop circle, but we talk all sports here. Last week I was 3-1. I lost the Jacksonville Pittsburgh game. I went chalk, and it didn't work out so well. So, um, so this week I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna take a chance this week. This week, I think the Jaguars and the Vikings will win. That's my what I call my that's my risk. That's my chance of the week. I think the Jaguars and the Vikings will win. I think the Vikings will be the first team in NFL history to play the Super Bowl in the same city, in which the Super Bowl is being hosted in. I think that's going to happen. Who do I like in the OKC Cleveland game? And this comes from Aaron up in Georgia. Thanks, Aaron, for listening. Um, Tough game. If Cleveland's defense is the way it is going to be, I think OKC wins this game. I think they easily win this game. It's no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Let's see. Next question is who are my final four teams in college basketball, in women's college basketball? That's a great question. That's a great question. Um, mm, of course, you got to go UConn. I think they're going to be a Final Four team. And again, just before the brackets come out, I think Mississippi State gets back there. I think South Carolina will figure it out, and South Carolina gets back there. And my dark horse team, I think I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to get back there. So I have UConn, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Tennessee. And that sounds awfully familiar. Outside of UConn, we're gonna have I think it's three SEC teams and one American Conference team. But again, I've been wrong before, so But that just for right now, that's just the teams that I feel that will do it. Let's see, who would be my vote for Tampa for Girls Player of the Year in Tampa. I think I might have. I think last week somebody asked a similar question. The top players I've seen. I think with right now with the quality wins that they've had and the way that she's leading her team at this moment, as of right now, I think Jacqueline LeVay of Alonzo would be my top choice for Player of the Year. They've just had a ton of big wins. She's been consistent, and she's leading her team, by example. And I got to talk to her, briefly at the end of their plant game. Nice, very humble young lady. Wish her all the best. I don't know if she signed anywhere, but if colleges have not taken a look at this girl, like I said before, you need to get her on your radar. But definitely, my vote as of today, if the season was to end today and I had a vote, my vote would be for Jacqueline LeVay. So I want to thank you all for checking out the Hoop Circle podcast. I will be live on Facebook next week, next Saturday, January 27th. I want to say thank you to our producer at Jachi TV. And most importantly, you could have spent the past 30 minutes of your time listening to or watching anything in the world, but you spent it with me, and I appreciate that. Big up Brooklyn. Have a good day.
Smelly production, boy. Ooh.